So it's been a long time coming for me to make a video on the ReZero web novel Arc 7. I've been patiently awaiting the chapters to build up for I can make videos on this arc, dissecting it, ripping it apart, and just kind of discussing where the story potentially is going to go from this point onward. Like I've said in previous videos of the past, I do want to make separate videos for the if stories. I want to make videos for the individual scenes probably throughout Arc 6 and even Arc 5, but today I wanted to dedicate my time to Arc 7 because I am now catching up with Arc 7 since there's currently at this time what I'm aware of, there is 11 chapters currently translated by Witch's Cult Translations, and I think we're waiting for chapter 12 and onward to actually get translated, but I do believe there is probably summaries of the chapters after chapter 11, because that's usually what happens, which that's the thing I want to clarify before I start talking about the content of ReZero Arc 7 in this video. So I have read up to, let's see, I think chapter 11 or 13 in terms of short summaries. Like when there were summaries coming out before the actual chapters got translated, I did read the summaries of what was going on, the events, and I do know about basically at the end of like a certain turning point where Subaru was supposed to, supposedly die, he didn't. And it led to a big, reveal, and I'll talk more about that towards the end of this video because just in case you are not up to date with, let's say, Arc 7's current chapters, I don't want to spoil that detail. I don't want to spoil just how crazy of certain reveals happen towards the end. So basically, this video is going to be mainly talking about the first 3 to 4 chapters of Arc 7 and kind of my overall thoughts of where the story is going to go, because even though I read the short summaries of these chapters, honestly, the short summaries did get the point across what the chapters are about. There is so much more going on within these chapters that, like I said, I wanted to dedicate a video to talking about them and kind of what this arc and the themes it has so far and where it might lead towards the end of Arc 7. So if you are obviously up to date, like if you have finished Arc 6, you know Arc 6's conclusion was emotional for a variety of reasons, mainly for the whole Rim finally waking up. After basically the beginning of Arc 4 and onward, she has been in an eternal slumber. And we know the struggle that Subaru has had to go through thanks to losing Rim ever since then, and all the trials that he's been through throughout, let's say Arc 5 and 6, to be able to finally have her back. And at the end of Arc 6, as we know, she opened her eyes up once again, and she, was there, alive, breathing once again. And many fans in the community, including myself, were jumping for joy, because this is something that I don't think any of us really expected at that point. Like, when you think about Rim waking up, I think all of us pictured her probably waking up maybe around Arc 9 or maybe even towards the end of the series just because of what the content actually represents. But obviously, the writer of ReZero, loves to throw curveballs, and you never really know what to expect and where the story's going to go completely. You might make some educated guesses and be correct on some areas, but overall in terms of where the plot can go, usually it's very unexpected, and you don't really know what character is going to be really important in individual arcs. I mean, let's think about Amnesia for a second. Did anyone really think Amnesia would be that important in Arc 6? I mean, before I ever read Arc 6, I never would have thought Amnesia would have been that important of a role in what role she was in Arc 6 with Scarf Donna. I never would have believed it if someone told me, or, before I read that. But, the point I'm trying to make, though, is that Arc 7 is starting off really, really good. Because we have Rim's awakening, but her awakening is obviously very different. It's very similar to Crush and also Julius's situation, and she literally doesn't know her name, and she has no memories of the past life she had. And so she's literally acting on her basic instincts and her overall morals of how she feels. So there is some remnants, like some shards of the old Rim in her, but overall everything that truly made her for what she was is pretty much gone. She is kind of like an empty shell walking around and refilling her very being once again. And so what I noticed while reading these beginning chapters, I noticed that it's kind of an interesting take on Subaru now. We're getting to see some development on how Subaru is perceived by those that don't know him. Because we gotta think about this. Rim was the first one to technically acknowledge Subaru within the story. She was the first person to call Subaru her hero. She was the first person to really tell Subaru like it was and like, hey, you're not that bad. Yes, you have flaws and you could work on some areas, but overall, you're a hero that saves the day and you know what to do. You're a good person. And we know what that, confrontation between Rim and Subaru had. It was a very big moment which led to all the development he received at the end of Arc 3 and then Arc 4 and so on. We've seen the journey of Subaru and even Arc 6 how it played into that of Subaru accepting that he is not that bad of a person. He is trustworthy and he isn't like this some superhero, but he is someone that can be relied upon, and he is someone that is there to save the day when he needs to. And I like how with the way these beginning chapters are being shown, it's showing that Subaru does believe in himself. You can see that he's really taken to heart all the lessons he learned from Arc 6, which, once again, love character development. I love the character development Subaru is always receiving in every single arc, and once again, I feel like this is what's going to happen here, is that Subaru's probably going to start pondering on the actions he takes and what ramifications it's going to have on, individuals that have no idea about, what's going on. For instance, different loops or people he knows. He needs to find a way to better explain things to individuals. And so when I looked at basically this beginning chapters, Rim doesn't know he's a hero. She doesn't know anything that Subaru has accomplished. She doesn't know why he does the things he does. All she knows upon waking up in that grassy field is that he stinks like hell and that he's very suspicious with mean-looking eyes. And when you look from Rim's point of view, it makes a lot of sense why she doesn't trust him. I mean, honestly, if you just met this strange guy that just started talking random stuff to you and all that and acted like he's trying to pull you over and say oh, I'm nice, I'm a good person, you might get suspicious. You'd be like, why are you here? Where's everyone else? Why can't I remember? Why do you look mean? Why do you stink? What's going on here? So everything that Rim has done so far in the first 3 to 4 chapters makes perfect sense why, she doesn't know him and why she's continuously running away from him non-stop. But that leads to the next point. Like I said, we know what Subaru's been through, but Rim does not. And seeing, Louise, however you pronounce her name, Gluttony, seeing her actually being kind of more like an infant and acting childish or with no memories whatsoever, it's fascinating because Subaru, he knows the truth behind her appearance. He knows what kind of monster she is and what she has done to him throughout the story. And regardless if she has lost herself, Subaru is not someone to easily forgive and forget. He doesn't easily do stuff like that. This has definitely been something that Subaru has kind of had with his character for a very long time. And this leads into the main point I want to talk about when it comes to the themes and what groundwork I was laying up for all of you to understand. I feel like what this arc is representing is that Subaru needs to learn how to forgive even those that are truly evil. Because when you look at Gluttony currently at this moment, you can see that, yes, it might be a plan by her. She might have done something to act like this, and she's just trying to play Subaru to eventually eat his memories as well, like she was trying to do at the end of Arc 6. Or it can be another example to where, because of how both, of herself started fighting in that different realm, the Hall of Memories, it resulted in her really just breaking down and becoming a complete husk of what she once was, and here we are now, and the only thing she really knows is just, Subaru, and that he can kind of be trusted, and that's why she's running towards him. Whatever may be the case, I feel like Subaru is going to be going through a good lesson here, to be able to even forgive those that have done him wrong, because he has done this. He is capable of this. I mean, he has forgiven Rim. Right? He's forgiven Rosewall. I mean, he's forgiven those that have killed him. I mean, he has. But obviously, when you look at Gluttony Situation, it extends beyond the normal suffering that Subaru has went through. So when you look at it, it makes me wonder if he's going to be able to save and actually forgive what she has done, Gluttony. But on top of that, I wonder if he's going to be able to win Rim to his side by making her feel like he is actually a hero. Because at this time, if I was to assume if Rim was given the question, do you think this man is a hero? She would say, no, he's a villain, he's evil. And that's the fascinating part about this. Throughout the entirety of the first 3 to 4 chapters, Subaru constantly depicts himself as he kind of is acting like a villain. He even says that. He's acting very shady like a villain. And I'm like, that's interesting dialogue there, because it basically lets us know that Subaru's supposed to represent a hero, but he's looking like a villain. And so that right there leads to the thoughts of what the themes of this arc is going to be about. People perceiving Subaru as a hero when he doesn't look it. I'm curious on where that's going to go. So, yeah, Arc 7 is starting off very, very action-packed with a lot of emotion, a lot of things going on. I mean, we even have the character, the mysterious masked man that appears before Subaru, and, just starts talking with him, and apparently he has this special ability of concealment, and he obviously seems of high class and nobility and all that, and Subaru wonders who he is, but at this time, we don't really know. It's very clear that the character is going to be very relevant and important as the story goes on, because for a character to be masked, not really a name given, and just to be met with this character right at the beginning of the arc, it's clear he's probably going to have some value and importance for the plot of Arc 7. The question at this time, though, is we don't really know what his importance actually is. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, as I said, I've already read the short summaries of what's going to happen, so I kind of know who it is. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that I wonder how Subaru is going to interact with the character. If he's going to enjoy the character, or if he's going to actually, let's say, hate him and not want to be around him. I wonder, because it's an interesting relationship that those two characters are potentially going to have, especially when you just see how their interaction was and how, they both seem very ordinary. Even Subaru himself said, they both seem very ordinary, and that if he was to probably get into a fight with that man, he probably could stand a chance, which says a lot, because once again, Subaru is constantly surrounded by absolute superhuman monsters. I mean, Amelia is a monster, Rim and Rom is a monster, you have, Julius is a monster, even, Scarf Donna is a monster. Everything that we have seen so far from so many characters Subaru has traveled with, they're incredibly powerful, and Subaru, we know, has been hammered into us time and time again. He isn't necessarily strong. He's an ordinary human being, and once again, this character looks very similar to Subaru in terms of being very ordinary. So I do wonder, exactly how that's going to go. And, if they do work together, how are these two ordinary individuals going to overcome very impossible odds? So yeah, I do like everything being presented right now and how Subaru has to build back the trust of Rim, and how he is having to prove to her he isn't actually a villain. Because right now, he looks like a Sin Archbishop. That's what, Subaru looks like. He's acting like one, and he needs to kind of get it across that he isn't crazy, which we know he's kind of crazy. I mean, to be able to survive what he's been doing, and just to keep his mind in check like it is, I mean, you have to be kind of crazy to a certain extent. But the main matter is that, I wonder how he's going to win her back over. And I don't think it's going to be that easy. It's probably going to be something that's really going to shake the core of Subaru's character and Rim. And I think, though, right now, if I had to guess where this arc is going, it's kind of like a restructuring of Arc 2. Instead of, because when you think about Arc 2, Subaru was earning the trust of those in the mansion. Rosewall, Ram, Rim, and even Amelia to a certain extent, and I feel like this is kind of like a retelling of that. Basically, him winning back the trust of someone that used to have the trust in him, and starting from zero once again. Because, let's be honest here, the story's themes are usually starting from zero, and that's once again what we have going on here, is that Subaru is starting from zero to earn back the trust of someone he truly deeply loves and cares about. Because let's be honest, Subaru, he would die for her. Even if she always hates him and scorns him for the rest of her life, Subaru would probably die for her. Just not even act like that would not happen. It's what he would do. He would go to the ends of the earth to save her, even if she would rip his arms and legs off. That's just what kind of character he is and what he's done for her and what she's done for him. So yeah, I just briefly wanted to talk about ReZero Arc 7. I want to talk more about it. I wanted to get my overall thoughts of the beginning out of the way, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that's coming that I feel is going to need to be dived into. And so I want to kind of talk about that right now before I wrap up this video. So some of the brief summary I have read of the chapters, there's an interesting part in, I think, chapter 11 or 12, I forget the actual number, where Subaru, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, was supposed to die, but he didn't. And it's kind of revealed that the curse that he was given by, lust, the sin of lust, that curse kept him alive. Somehow, because of the curses of return by death, and that curse then mixed together, and it resulted in Subaru being able to regenerate and actually not die in that moment. And basically, this is very scary. And a good thing, but scary. Because now there'll be probably moments where Subaru technically wants to die, but he doesn't. And he can't die. It won't be as easy to die. And that's frightening, because imagine this. There's been so many moments where Subaru has died throughout the story, and if he did not in fact die even those accidental times, there's so many things that would have been permanent. So many deaths would have stayed. And if Subaru is stuck and he can't die easily, it's going to result in him actually not really being able to go back and save those individuals. So I am concerned about that. That definitely leads to a very interesting plot point that Subaru, is having right now. For instance, how hard is it going to be for him to die from this point onward? I can't wait to talk more about it as I learn more about whatever it is when I read the chapters, but that's all I know for now. Also, Vincent. I believe that's his name. Vincent, which is the masked man. I don't know much about him. Apparently, I'm supposed to know about him already, because apparently there's like a spin-off story or spin-off novel, EX novel. I haven't read it, so I don't know anything really about Vincent. I just know he's a very popular character and people love him. I probably should go out of my way and read the EX novel or something that's based around him, because it's probably incredibly important for Arc 7. But that's about it, so I want to wrap it up here. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. This obviously is a different video. I probably couldn't add images. I know I probably can't add images because it's just literally light novel text and all that. So I apologize for the lack of images and all that in this. I know it can be annoying just looking at my face. Once again, apologies, but hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Thank you so much for all of you that watched it, and if you want more, let me know in the comments below and leave a like as well. Well, with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.